Terrible. See you guys. Hey, what's going on, gang? Looks like we are probably officially live here. Hopefully my feed is not too choppy. I'm going to do it from down here in the bowling center because I am trying to wrap up some drillings from today. And what I want to do is go over... There we go. Just making sure it's coming in. We're going to do some new segments starting today. You can see I was crawling under a machine. So before it's pointed out, it's a nice old grease spot that is on my hat from crawling underneath lane 3. Looks like we got people coming in the room now. Just want to make sure the chat feature is working. So Dom, looks like CJ is in here watching. If you guys are there, drop a comment just so I can see it. That's the right. Go back to keyboard. Brandon Runk is watching. Yep, you can hear me loud and clear. Good. A little worried about the feed coming through, but hey, Kay, is my dinner done yet? Just kidding. So we'll give it a few more minutes here, and the intention for tonight, this isn't going to be a super long broadcast by any means, but we kind of came together and wanted to make sure, you know, we were doing our part to help educate not only about the brands of Brunswick, but also to the consumers as well. A little better understanding and have some questions they can ask about the bowling balls when they're released. So as we start off here, obviously over the past couple weeks, the brands of Brunswick have announced a multitude of balls that were released here in August, and actually a few more that are getting released in September. So got together, Carrie had some really good ideas, and we kind of ran with it. So what we're going to do each week, you're going to have different segments depending on what day of the week it is. So today we're going to do what's referred to as Talk About It Tuesday. Okay, so each week we're going to essentially, sometime during the day, we're going to put a post up, kind of announce the ball we're going to talk about a little bit. And throughout the day, you can go on and you can ask some questions ahead of time. If I see them, I'll make sure that I go over them on the feed. And then from there, we're also going to do, on Thursdays, is we'll do, you know, Throw It Thursday. So essentially, whatever we talk about today, or any additional questions you have, or want to see it compared against the ball, we're going to take those to the lanes. It will not just be me. I know you'd rather see Carrie throwing the ball, but we'll have a multitude of individuals who have them, and we'll throw some different styles down the lane and give you a really good view, that something that's close to matching up with you. On top of that, here at Pure Bowling, we will at all times have demos that are available to you. So when we talk about bowling balls, it essentially, if you come down, you will have the opportunity to demo these balls before you actually make a purchase. Okay. So today, why we're here today. So we're here to talk about the newest hammer, the Hammer Fugitive Solid. The Fugitive Solid is the second ball in the Fugitive line, with the success coming off of the Fugitive Pearl. So if you remember, the Fugitive Pearl, while it had the same numbers, it's a 2486 RG and a .052 diff, and this one here had the Juice Pearl cover stock on it. And the Juice Pearl, if you remember back, very successful cover. 500, 1000, and it's got some factory compound on it. So more projection, a little sharper off the spot. So with the success of the Fugitive, the solid version came out, and I will tell you, this has been quite the eye-opener to me so far. Had the opportunity not only to see this thrown by Carrie, but also from a number of girls, including Chelsea Merklinger and some of the other brands of Brunswick girls, out in Missouri this past weekend. This ball looked absolutely fantastic. So the solid version has the very popular Juice Solid cover, which, if you remember, you would have found that in balls like the Diesel Torque. It was in the Ruthless, to name a few, and highly successful covers. Wanted to make sure we got that, so we wrapped it around the Fugitive core. And what we've created here with this solid is a very teethy bowling ball in the body of the lane, but let me tell you, it is really versatile. So to give an idea, this week in Missouri, a couple different events, but they bowled on a 45-foot pattern Higher volume, it's 28, 29 mils the first night. They bowled on a even higher volume pattern later in the week, which was 46 feet, 31 mils. And this ball performed fantastic. So even an individual like, for instance, Carrie, who has very low tilt, her rev rate is pretty low, she was able to keep nice tight angles but still see some movement in the body of the lane and actually get the bowling ball through the pins. Something we don't see a lot, especially in a symmetric for her. Chelsea Merklinger, she definitely used it on Sunday. What it did is that the building, they ran higher mills because the building has a tendency to have some early friction. So what it did was where to kind of chew in, is the ball actually burned off a little in the front, but read the body so well that it didn't even feel like there was any type of resistance for that ball getting through the front portion of the lane. So for a solid cover stock, still plenty clean. It's not one of those balls that's going to be too teethy in the front and essentially burn up, okay? You can use this thing on a multitude of patterns. I know Carrie's on here. She used it on a short pattern as well. And the ball just kind of gave her, in that instance, kind of was versatile and gave her more of a kind of a hook stop motion at the end of the pattern, and performed well in that as well. I'm actually going to get holes in mine finally now that we're back. I plan on throwing this one here at the center on Thursday. Here at the center, if you're not familiar, we have 75-year-old wood. We run ice oil, and it's pretty challenging. We'll put out something probably around like 5-1, 8-1 or something, something so you can see the performance of the ball when compared. So again, great 1-2 combination. I will tell you, I know you can see it in the video here, but the shelf appeal of this ball is unbelievable. It's super vibrant blue and orange color. It really stands out as you come in, and I've drilled quite a few of these already. They continue to come in and they're flying off the shelves. I think it's one you really need to look at putting into your bag. So there was a couple other, a really good question that came through earlier that I wanted to kind of address, and then I'll kind of read some of these comments here. But somebody had asked on the thread earlier, they said, hey, now that the brands of Brunswick have obtained the old Ebonite International balls, can you tell me what the difference is between the Brunswick Dynamic Core and the Hammer Carbon Infused? Okay, so it was a really good question because there is some kind of similarities to it, but kind of different intentions. So if you go back to the Ebonite International balls, if you're familiar with the Carbon Infused, they had the longer warranties in them. So there was two different versions of what they did with carbon there when stuff was done in Hopkinsville. What they did down there is obviously you need to know that a ball has an inner core, it has an outer core, and then a cover, okay, depending on the construction of the ball. So the carbon infused, most of the balls that were generated down there, those were in the outer core, okay, similar to the dynamic core. But they were used to actually make the cover stocks more durable, so for longevity, help with cracking properties along that. Now, they did dabble a little before the balls were stopped being made down there, and if you saw any of the Ebonite International balls back in the day that said CFI before them, or carbon infused, that actually had carbon that was mixed in the cover stock. Okay, so things like that. Ones off the top of my head, Statements had those, the Ripped, I think the Sauce, the Pink Widow definitely had it, when it was intertwined in actually the cover of the ball. Now, Dynamic Core, quite different. Dynamic Core is actually, you want to think energy transfer more than anything. So the Dynamic Core is not in the cover of the bowling ball, it's in the outer core, okay? So the intention about the Dynamic Core is essentially to, it gives it that basically kinetic energy, if you will, that you're getting a to and from, and the ball is actually helping to transfer energy from the ball to the pins to kind of increase hitting power, if you will. So two different realms. I will tell you that when you talk about the carbon infused now, the way it's used right now, the balls that are being manufactured in Mexico for Brunswick right now, they have not done anything with the carbon infused on the cover portion of the ball. Okay, so I'm not saying that couldn't happen down the way, but it's definitely not being done now. So there's quite a bit of people that are in this chat now, and I'm kind of scrolling through here. So it looks like House Mouse is on here, so of course he's going to troll this. So what does he say? Does St. Charles still have drop ceiling panels that are falling? No, actually, it wasn't bad. St. Charles wasn't a bad little bowling center. I will say in Missouri, they love their Calcuttas and things like that. So lots of action going on down there, and it was a good weekend of bowling. A lot of good players actually made the trip to bowl there on the female side, and there was some top-notch players there on Sunday when it was an open doubles as well. Even Pete Weber was there. If you're not familiar with St. Charles, Pete Weber's dad Dick, that was one of the centers he owned back in the day. I think he owned maybe 4 or 5 in that area, but St. Charles, I think it used to be Dick Weber's Charles Lanes or something. So there is some history in that building. Sure, Pete is a young buck, bowled himself there, but anyway, not to get off topic, because Brad, none of us care in this feed how many beers you drank in that bowling center. We're here to actually answer some questions. So what else do you have that questions out there that maybe we can answer for you on the Fugitive Solid? So fire away, and I'll do my best. It doesn't have to be specific about the Fugitive Solid, but that's the one we wanted to introduce this week. But throw some at me here. See what we got here and what you may be curious of. It could be anything from comparisons to other brands of Brunswick balls. If you're not familiar with these lines and you want to say, hey, what's it comparable to in something out of Utah, that's fine. I can answer those questions for you. And again, just remember that, we have these here. I'd love to put these in your hand. Take it for a test drive on the lanes here. Come enjoy the facility. And we'll make the right suggestion for you when it comes to matching up what needs to go in your bag. So, all right, that Pete's dad. Yes, Dick Weber is Pete's dad, Bradley. You've bowled way too long to not know some of the history there. What's going on, Chad Eckenroth? Sorry I missed your comment up there. It looks like we have, Joel's in there, Colin Ranieri, Michelle, Nick Martin, Sean English looks like he's on. So, how does a solid differ from the Redemption Solid? Well, it is way different ball. Redemption Solid, which just recently came out, is a big asymmetrical ball. Much bigger core, higher obviously asymmetry. So completely different intentions. A Redemption Solid is essentially a ball with a bigger motor. It's designed for higher volumes of oil, or when you want to get the ball to really play more of the front part of the lane. Usually tighter angles to start out, but don't sleep on the Redemption Solid, because that ball does hook quite a bit down lane. And I know when we're talking about Redemption, we really get into the point where the hybrid, which we talked a little bit about last week, that ball with a little bit of scratch to get the compound off is unbelievable. Really excited for that one. Definitely looking forward to getting holes in that one myself as well. So 2 different monsters there, Kerry. It was a good question, but you're definitely going to get the Fugitive is definitely going to be cleaner just on the numbers alone. Time and a place for it. I think you'll see from a perspective of if you're trying to throw the ball on a house pattern or something, you're going to feel that the Fugitive Solid is probably going to be a little more versatile across the board, and you're going to need a little bit of volume to throw that Redemption Solid probably the whole night. I mean, you can start with it out of the bag, but you're probably going to be balling down off of it pretty quick. Dominic Matillo, if a pearl ball seems to jump off the spot too hard on typical house shot, would a short pin layout on this ball be a good option? Very good question, Dom. I had that one written down as well. It's kind of a loaded question. It really depends on the player. Okay, so a short pin layout for you versus I know Mike Martins had asked about it earlier. Would be quite different. Okay, so when a short pin layout for you, where you have higher tilt, higher axis rotation, is going to be quite different than somebody like Mike Martins, who has a really big track circumference, low tilt, much lower rev rate, where he's really not going to want his ball to actually try to see the front that much, or his ball is going to feel very over-under. Okay, we need to retain as much of that little bit of axis rotation that we have, and not getting that core to spin up too quick. The question kind of came out like, hey, typical house shot, they're always hooking so much, so people want to go to the the low end balls are what they call it, like even in our lines, like a beast or a rhino or something like that, and then they throw it and the ball just goes sideways off the back end of the pattern. And the reason that is I mean, it's really what the intention is. It's supposed to be a very clean cover, and when it sees friction, it's going to go hard. So don't be fooled. You actually, when you see that kind of friction in a building, we really want to get a ball that has a little bit of scratch to it, because remember, no matter what pattern length we're bowling on, we need that ball to be rolling forward at the end of the pattern. So if the pattern's 33 feet or 45 feet, if that ball is still in the hook phase at the end of it, and then it sees and encounters friction, you're in jail, you're throwing the wrong ball, you have the wrong surface. So short pin layout for you on this Dom would be pretty good. You probably see that the cord would spin up quicker, be a little mellower off the spot, and just kind of overall smooth out the back end reaction. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I need a ball that rolls like an LT48. Brad, you can get something that's pretty close. I don't know if the blood red jab that's coming out. Yes, it's pretty much like the SE edition that's on it. Hit that thing with a little bit of scratch. It'll be pretty close. I know you may not like this, but what would a similar from Brunswick that is like a Parallax? Parallax, again, very clean new ball from Utah. Clean cover, unique core, big asymmetry in that ball. If you're going to go for something like that and you want something that's clean, kind of back-end reaction, you could look to something that's coming out here soon, or you could go into like a Prism Hybrid or something. Big fan of that ball, the Prism Hybrid. We have a Prism Warp Hybrid coming out that I'm pretty excited to see as well. We'll talk about. I would have to look into the numbers on that Parallax to give you a definitive answer. What would be close there, Patrick, but I know you've gone over it and thrown a couple of our balls here, going back to the affinity and stuff. So you've seen some of the things, from the past that look really good for you. So the next one, Chris Wilson, you know what I like to roll and what works best for me. We are looking at the Radical Bonus, which is a beefed up Intel. You gotta open the rest of it. Sorry, can't read it all. Beefed up Intel, one of my favorites, the Hammer Web Tour. Will it be a Web Tour hybrid come into play for me? Well, obviously you've seen the release on that. So the Hammer did announce the Web Tour hybrid, which is coming out. So anybody who was a fan of the Web Tour knew it was one of the most versatile balls we had in the bag. So to see a Tour edition in a hybrid cover stock, give us another option. Similar, a little cleaner, probably a little more off the spot. Encouraging to look at that. And you are right, Chris. When you look at the bonus, the Radical Bonus intention is kind of like a big beefed up version of the Intel, which I know Dom was the one that was asking earlier. But the Intel was a very user friendly medium range diff right around 030, which is what the bonus is going to be, but with a much more responsive cover stock that you should see be a little meatier in the mids and definitely a little more continuation through the pins. So didn't get to see this one go down the lane quite as much as some of the other ones yet. We have a few of them here that we will have available for the demo portion that we'll get in your hands. You can kind of throw them, and again, that's why when you talk about the demo thing, we'll make sure at all times we have at least one of every one of the new balls released. We'll be here. You can come in, throw it down the lanes. What we do for those demos and stuff too is pretty simple. We don't do it on a specific day. You can come in anytime you want. You can throw our demo balls for an hour. It's $10. If you end up buying a ball, we'll take $10 off the drill fee. It's just a push. So very, very user friendly. Steve Pavlenko Jr. Gosh, God, old Coyote on here. He says he's moist. That was a Steve comment there. I'm sure all the females that are in here really appreciated the M word being thrown in there, but hope you're doing well, Steve. It's good to hear from you the other day. Definitely looking forward to hopefully seeing everybody here. I am planning on probably shoeing up at Woodlawn in, I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yeah, it's the day after we're hosting the Cheetah Open here at Purett. So it's looking forward to it. Gotten to bowl a little more recently here, so kind of getting back into that, trying not to be a hack and not always being the guy. Carrie's, well, it depends where you go. I'm referred to as Carrie's dad some places we go. That was fun. I was asked if I was her dad again this weekend. That was cool. Any other questions out there? had quite a few on here. Like I said, it's the first time around, but I am always available to answer any questions you may have about any of the brands. We're open and honest. We're going to give you the utmost respect to what you like. Obviously, not everybody is going to want to throw the brands that we're behind, but we're definitely going to push it because we think our products are really stinking good. So looks like we got another one. Do you think this gall will only work for one type of player or all players? Ball. Which ball? You talking about the Fugitive Solid Carry? If you're talking about the Fugitive Solid, it's versatile for all types of players. It really depends on some of the other parameters. So again, is it for every single player? No, it's not. Okay, it really comes down to ball speed comes into play, their tilt, how they match up. Okay, they may very well, if we have an individual who has really slow ball speed or has an incredible amount of tilt, or really just needs to see more down lane motion, are we going to drill them a Fugitive Solid? No, we're probably going to drill them a Fugitive Pearl, right? Or one of them from the other brands. I mean, it's so specific. So when you're working, everybody on here, I know a lot of you come here to the shop, but I mean, no matter where you go and you're working with your pro shop operator, the important thing is that they really need to make sure that they get you on the lanes. They take all the parameters that go into drilling a ball correctly and make the best choice for you, right? Those choices are critical to making sure that the customer's happy, because there's nothing that I hate to see more than if one of my customers would leave here and be dissatisfied with something I suggested for them, or I just went to the wall and like, oh, that's been up there a while, I'm going to try to get rid of that. I don't believe in that. I want every person that walks into this building to basically be educated in what we can discuss with them and make sure they're being matched up to a ball that makes sense for them. All right, it's a big investment. We want to grow bowling. We don't want to restrict it. We're obviously in some very trying times right now with the pandemic and not all states being open yet. And anything that I can do personally and or any of my staff or anybody from the brands that I represent, we want to help. We're here to answer any questions you may have. I love bowling about as much as you could love anything. And it doesn't matter what aspect it comes from. From a competing standpoint, I miss it a little bit. Going to try to get back on the lanes myself, but I'm always here to educate when it's off the lanes. It's my strong suit. I'm a much better educated person when it comes to the physics behind bowling than I am the guy that's going to go into a tournament and everybody's scared to bowl. All right, there's much better players than me. It's okay. I'm humble. I love to coach. I love seeing my customers excel. And I just love talking bowling. So, to me, this is awesome. I want to do more things where I can get interaction and with everybody. And I'm assuming Brad's saying you're right because he knows I stink on the lanes. But I don't think Brad's bowled off of a typical house shot in about 4 years. So anytime you want action, Brad, you can take a flight back here. Do you even know what lanes are? Just curious. Anyway, we regressed, but looks like some of the questions pretty much stopped. But if anybody has anything that comes to mind and they have some questions that they wish they would have asked, feel free to reach out to me. Just you can send me a message on the shop page, or if you're friends with me on Facebook personally, send that. If you have my cell, feel free to text me. Anybody can have my number. It's 717-679-8225. Anything you have, you want to call, chat, anything, I'm here for you guys. I'm really looking forward to doing these segments, and obviously this is the first of many to come. But I'm glad everybody interacted tonight. I appreciate it. And Brad, feel free to text me. Just make sure to remember that you're in Vegas, and I go to bed by 9 on the East Coast. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was educational. We'll be looking to do more in the future. So, everybody have a good night, and we will see you soon. Thanks all.